Hi everyone, welcome to a new video on YouTube channel of tutorialspedia.com. This video is part of a series of video tutorials covering different topics on MuleSoft starting from beginner to the advanced level topics. In this video tutorial, I will be covering security features and I will explain how we can configure mutual SSL as well as basic one-way SSL for any REST application in MuleSoft. Before I proceed, I would request you to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed before so that you are able to get all the videos when uploaded. So let me first explain the scenario that we are going to cover during this video tutorial. As I explained that both one-way SSL and two-way SSL will be covered. So we will be going step by step, first with one-way SSL and then we will proceed with two-way SSL. So in order to use these two implementations, I will be using Java key tool and I will be generating self-signed certificates. And then I will show you how we can configure both client side and server side. Client side will be a simple browser and server side will be the Mule REST application. And I will demonstrate to you how we can utilize this feature in MuleSoft and secure our web services. So for one-way SSL and two-way SSL, let me explain you that what are the basic fundamentals that we will be taking into consideration. If you are not clear about how one-way SSL and how two-way SSL works, I will put a link on the suggestion box for one of the posts on my blog where you can read in detail about the concepts of one-way SSL and two-way SSL and how they differ from each other. So at a high level, what basically we will be doing for one-way SSL is that we will have trust store on the client side and we will have key store on the server side. As in case of one-way SSL, server doesn't care who is the client. Rather, it's important for the client only to make sure that whatever information client is receiving is from a trusted store. So for this purpose, client maintains a trust store and server just uh, doesn't care who is the client. And there is a basic fundamental of SSL handshake, and there are multiple steps. So you can go to that link that I put on the description as well, and you can read about the difference of one-way and two-way SSL. And for the second scenario that we will be covering in this tutorial containing two-way SSL, which is also known as mutual SSL at TLS. In this case, both client and server maintain keystore and truststore, and this is the case for most of the B2B communication, in which is also mostly server to server communication, in which case both client and server authenticate each other against the public and private key pair, and each of them maintains its own key store with its private keys and shares the public certificate with the other party. So this during the handshake, both parties make sure that they trust each other, and for this purpose they have their own key stores and trust stores. So this is how what we are going to cover during this tutorial. Let's directly jump into the implementation part and proceed with this one-way and two-way SSL based REST service. So I have already opened Anypoint Studio and I will directly create a new project. I will right click and I will choose new and Mule project. And for this Mule project, I will name it as tutorials tutorialspedia SSL demo. And let's just finish it. So we will get our project created and we will be able to see it under the package explorer. It takes a bit of time and then it will create the project structure and then we will proceed with the implementation. So as you can see, the project has been created with the name tutorialspedia SSL demo, and it has also created a basic flow. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a REST service, and in order to create a REST service we will have to go to HTTP module and we will drop this listener in our message flow. Now all the important things that we have to configure will be under the configuration of this listener. So we will go to listener, and here we are going to click on this plus button for the connector configuration. And first thing that we need to do is to specify the host and port. Let's use 8084 for our case. We can use any of the available ports. And in the normal scenarios without SSL, we don't care about this TLS tab. But in this case, since we are going to first create it with one-way SSL, and then we will make it two-way SSL, so we need to look into this tab. So click on this TLS tab, and for TLS configurations, we have two options, either to edit inline or use global reference. So let's choose edit inline. And once you choose edit inline, now you see option for your trust store configuration and keystore configuration. As I explained before, that in case of one-way SSL, on the server side we only configure keystore, and trust store is maintained on the client side. And for that purpose we will ignore this trust store for the first scenario, and we will only configure keystore. But to configure the key store, first we need to have our key store available. Right now we don't have a key store, so I will go to Java key tool, which is part of standard Java installation, and using that key tool we will generate our key store. So let's do that first. So I have already uh, opened a command prompt, and I have a folder with the name MuleSoft Certs, and here I have created two folders, client and server. So I will go to server, and inside this server folder I will generate the key tool. So in order to generate key tool, key store using key tool, we use the command key tool dash gen key. Then we specify the alias, and we will name it as tutorialspedia underscore ks. We can name it anything. Let's name it only. So since it's going to be localhost, so it's better we specify the alias as localhost, rather static.localhost to be more specific. And then we will specify the uh, algorithm. Key algorithm that we are going to use is RSA. Then we will specify the name of key store. So let's name it as tutorialspedia underscore ks dot pfx. And then we have to specify store type. We want to create pkcs12 type of key store. You can create jks as well, but it's better if you create pkcs12. And then we will specify store pass. So this will be the password. So let's make it just 123456 and enter. Now it will ask you for certain information that you have to provide. So first name and last name, let's name it as tutorialspedia. What's name of your organization? Again, we will write tutorialspedia. What's the name of your organization? Before it was organizational unit, and we will populate it with the same tutorialspedia. City, let's put NY, and state also just put NY, and country let's put US. Now it will ask us to confirm the information. We will say yes, and this will create our key store. If you see here, we have a key store created with the name tutorialspedia underscore ks dot pfx. So once we have the key store created, now we will have to use this key store in our project. But before we are able to use it, what we need to do, let's go to resources folder. No, not here. We will go to main resources, and here I would like to create a new directory. So I will go to new and I will choose directory or folder, and let's name it as, you can name it anything. I will name it as security. So I have created a new folder with the name security, and right click on this security folder and I will choose import. And from the file system, now I want to import this key store inside my project. So I will choose next, and here I will write c colon slash test slash mule. Let me copy the name of the MuleSoft certs slash server. So I will choose browse, and you can see that I got this certificate key store inside this folder. So I will select this key store and click finish. So in this way, now my key store is available inside the project. So just save it. So once it will be saved, after that we will go back to the configuration of our listener. We will click on this plus button. As previously we did not save, so let's do it again. It's 084, and for TLS we will again choose the same way, edit inline, and here keystore will be configured. So in the type, choose pkcs12 since we created pk12, and in the path write security slash tutorialspedia underscore ks dot pfx, and the alias that we give to our keystore, let's verify what was the alias. Alias was steric.localhost, and the keystore password we need to specify here, uh, same password that we specified when creating the keystore. It was 123456 by the way. And after that we don't need to make any changes for enabled protocols. We will keep it as default. We will click on OK, and we will click on save button. Okay, we need to specify base path as well, slash. Let's just specify slash, and now you can see error is gone. So we can verify the connection as well by going to this edit option and click on this test connection. If everything is okay for our configuration, we should receive a success. So we got an error here. TLS context cannot be configured with protocol. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I did configure the TLS, but in general, I did not specify the protocol as HTTPS. This is important. So we save it again. Okay, so now if we try to verify the connection, we should be getting success ideally. As you can see, we got the test connection successful. So we have configured our service with the OneWay SSL. Now I go to message flow, and I just want to make sure that we are returning something in response, something proper. So I will go to my favorites, and I will use this transform message component. Here I will specify XML as I want to return an XML message, and message an element will be with the name message, and I will write something hard coded success. So I want that whenever client successfully calls this service, the response should be in XML format with one element with the name message, and the message content should be success. So let's save it. Now we have configured keystore on the server side, but it's important that on the client side, trust stores should be there with the public certificate. Right now, if I load this project and if I try to access it from the browser will complain that uh, this service or this website is not trusted. So let's try that. So let me clear the console from any previous information, and I will run this project. Save. Okay, I have some previous instance running. I will stop that. Okay, so we will go to browser, and in the browser I will specify HTTPS localhost colon the port that we specified 8084 slash. So we will wait for it to run, and in the meanwhile let me go to key tool, and extract I want to extract my public certificate from this keystore that we just generated. So to extract it, we will use the command key tool. Let me clear it first. Key tool dash export dash alias, and the alias was static.localhost. Sorry, static.localhost, and then we will specify the file in which we want to save it. I will name it as server underscore public dot cer, as it will be public certificate, and from which key store I want to extract it, I will specify the name here. And the key store name that we generated was, let me verify the key store name, tutorialspedia underscore kx, tutorialspedia underscore ks dot pfx. So if I enter, it will ask me for the password for my key store. And once you specify the password, your public certificate has been extracted from the key store. If I click right there, you can see that I have tutorialspedia underscore ks dot pfx. No, sorry, and server underscore public dot cer. This pfx is key store. This cer is public certificate. So we have extracted public certificate from the server side. So now what we need to do is that we need to go to this folder and install this certificate in our trust store on the client side. Before that, let me see if the project, yes, it's deployed successfully. And if I try now from the browser, I get warning for potential risk because this certificate is not trusted. So in order to trust this certificate, let me go to this public that we just extracted. If I double click on this, there is an option to install the certificate. So it will install in my machine for the current user. I will click next, next, finish. And it says that import was successful. Now I will go to browser again, control F5 to refresh it. Okay, let me open it again. I will open the browser again. Localhost 8084. It's trying to access the service. Since this certificate is not from a valid CSN certificate, so I will have to choose this option, accept and continue, and you can see that I got the response message success. Now this is how we configured one-way SSL and we are able to access the service. If in the real scenarios, we always make sure that once we create a certificate, we create a certificate CSR for a signing request, then we get it signed from a certification authority like VeriSign or any other certification authority, and then those certificates are automatically trusted by the browser. In this case, it's self-signed, so we have to explicitly specify that we trust this certificate. Okay, now I go back to the server, and now I want to make sure that this web service is secured with two-way SSL. So let me stop it, and for that purpose, I will need TrustStore also configured. Right now, if you see, we have only Keystore configured, but no TrustStore. For TrustStore, I will have to create the store again. So I will go to the browser. So I will go to the command line and I will use the same command, key tool dash gen key. So I will just name the alias as local underscore ts, and key store name I will name it as tutorialpedia underscore ts. For key store it was ks. For the trust store I want to name it as ts, and I don't want to change the password or anything else. So again it will ask me for some information, so I will put ts everywhere. So I'm not bothering what's the information needed. I'll just put ts everywhere and I will click yes. So now if I see, I can find tutorialspedia underscore ts.pfx created. So this is our trust store on the server side. So this trust store we need to configure. But there is an important thing. In the trust store, we need to import the certificates which are trusted. This means for our client, they should their client should also have a key store. They should export a certificate out of their key store and then share that certificate with the server, and on the server side we will import that certificate into this trust store and configure it. Only then it will work. So let's create the key store for the client. So I will go to client folder, and here I will create with the same command a key store for the client. So I will name it as client underscore ks. This is the alias, and store Keystore name will be client underscore ts. Store type and store password, let's give it a different password, 567890, and enter. So here we are creating a key store for the client with the alias client underscore ks and the name client underscore ts dot pfx. Okay, since we are using client ts dot pfx, just to keep it uniform, let's name the alias as well similar. It's not something mandatory, you can do anything, you can name it anything, and in the future you can rename as well. So I will enter. So everything I will write client, whatever information I need, I will not populate correct information, I will just put client. And okay, so if I check here, I have client underscore ts.pfx created. So this is the key store on the client side, but I need to export the public certificate out of this key store, and then that public certificate will have to be imported on the trust store on the server side. So let's use the same command for export, and alias is client underscore ks ts. The file that we want to create is with the name client underscore public. Key store that we want to use for this purpose is client underscore ts dot. So this is the key store from which we want to extract the public certificate. So we will enter and it will ask us for the password. This is the password for the client key store, and certificate is stored in this file. We got the message client underscore public dot serve. So now we have extracted the certificate, public certificate of the client. We need to import it into the key store on the server. So let's go back to the server. And here we will use the import command, key tool dash import, and then we will write dash trust cs certs. Then we will write in which key store we want to import it. So the key store name was, let me first find out the name. I forgot the name. The name is tutorial pd underscore trust store. So I will write the command again, key tool dash import dash trust cs certs dash key store, and the key store name will be tutorialspedia underscore ts, as it's we want to import it into trust store dot pfx. And then we will write alias. You can give it any alias. Let's name it as cl underscore pub, and then we will specify which file we want to import. So it's in the clients slash uh, client underscore public dot serve. So this is the certificate that we want to import into the trust store on the server side. So here we will specify the password, and it's confirming us that do you want to do you trust and you want to import this certificate. I will say yes, and it says certificate was added to keystore. We can verify that our keystore should have now two certificates. So we can use command key tool dash list dash keystore, and the keystore is tutorialspedia underscore ts dot pfx. Let's enter the password, and you can see it has two entries. So we are good. Now what we need to do, we need to configure this trust store with the trust store that we just created. For now I will have to import it first. So I will go to the same folder, security, right click, choose the option of import, and from the file system, next I will just choose the same, and I will choose tutorial pd underscore ts. Finish, and we have imported it successfully in our project. Now we have to configure it. So we go to listener, and we will go to configuration, TLS configuration. In the path we will specify security slash tutorialspedia underscore ts dot pfx. We will specify the password for this that that was provided when creating. It's 123456. Type we will choose as pkcs12, and we will not do anything else. We will click OK. Okay, now since it's two-way SSL, so in order to use this service, client will have to provide its certificate on every request, which means client side should also be configured with their keystore. So we will go to browser, and here we will go to options, privacy and security, and here view certificates, and we will have to specify the certificate. We will choose import. So we will go to client, so we will choose client trust store, and it will ask for the password 567890. Actually this is not the client trust store, it's client key store, so but we named it as trust store, and we will click OK. Now we have imported the certificate on the client side, and in the previous implementation when we were implementing one way, and in two-way case we have configured their key store as well. Now if we go to our service and load it again, we should be able to call this service with two-way SSL. So it's loading. So once it's loaded, then we will we will call this service from the client side. Let's wait for it to get loaded. So as you can see, status is deployed, which means that now we can try to hit the service. We will go to the client and we will hit the service. Now it's asking which certificate to present as identifier, because server will expect a certificate. So we will select, as we have only client. So once we did this, you can see we received the response as success, and we can see that we did not log anything, but we can verify from the server that we are getting the request. As we are getting the response, so it's correct, but we can do a log as well just to make sure that the new requests are coming in. So we will just add a logger before the transform message, and here in the logger I will just write request received. So I want to see this message in the console, nothing else. So it will get loaded again, and then we will try again. So it's loaded. So let's go to the client again and try to hit the service, and we got a success. And if we go here, we should see the log request received. Now just to make sure and just to clarify that if we don't provide the certificate, if the client doesn't pass its certificate to the server, it will not work, as it's secured with two-way SSL. So I will what I will do, I will remove the certificate and I will see how it behaves. So if you go to view certificates, and this certificate, just let's delete it. So now the handshake should fail. If we go here, control 5, let me close it and open again. You can see previously it was taking from cache. Right now it says secure connection failed. Why it failed? Because from the client side we already deleted the certificate, and now when client tries to access the data from the server side, server, because of two-way SSL, is demanding the client its certificate, and it's expecting same certificate which is available in the trust store on the server side, but it's not the case, and hence it's failing, and we get aborted error. So this is how two-way SSL works, and with this two-way SSL server is, you can see from the server side as well that after removing the certificate on the client side, we get the error SSL handshake error. So that's it from this video on one-way and two-way SSL using MuleSoft and implementing a REST service, which is a secured service. I hope that the information that I communicated through this video tutorial is helpful for you. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I will be uploading more videos in future with the more advanced features. If you have any questions or if any ambiguity or anything that you want to get clarified, feel free to comment below in the comment section. Thank you very much.